Okay, hello. We are live. Couple minutes after, but it's just one of those weeks, so I'm just kind of making some last minute adjustments here. All right, it's definitely been one of those weeks, so but I'm very excited to be here with you guys as usual on Wednesday. We're doing our weekly craft and cocktail session, and I'm just gonna give everyone a couple minutes. And make sure I got everything I need over here. I've got today we're going to be doing, well, I'm going to be working on watercolors. Oh, let me see. I'm going to be working on a watercolor painting. I'm just going to be using a photo that I have on my computer that I really like, that I've been wanting to turn into some kind of artwork. So that's it. I'm going to be working on that. And this was kind of a more relaxed week. Like I said, it's kind of been one of those weeks, so I didn't get it as planned out as I would have liked ahead of time. I kind of like to let everyone know what the theme's going to be early in the week, but this week it was just not working out that way. But that's cool, because it's okay. We could just jump into it together. So even if you don't have watercolors, that's no big deal. I think just getting any photo you like, and everyone's got photos they can look at for reference on their phone or on the computer. And even if you're just sketching it out, or you're using markers or colored pencils or pens or anything you got lying around, fill it in. I think that'll be great. We'll kind of be on the same page. So let me show you what I got. I got this little set. Watercolor's pretty new for me. I usually work in acrylics or oil paints, or I'm crafting with some mixed media thing, but I really wanted to try watercolor. I don't know how good it's gonna come out, but I'm using this time, like I'm always talking about, I'm using this time for me and to work on some art and to try something new. So if you guys want to work along with me, I'd love that. I got these Winsor & Newton watercolor set. It's got a lot of the basic colors, and so I think that'll be good. And I got some watercolor brushes, my fan brush that I've had from before, and of course my favorite, the toothbrush, in case there's any fun texture things I want to do. I got a sponge, and I got some colored pencil and gel pen for highlighting, and I'm going to sketch something out and try to make this like fluid and go. I don't know if I'll get to use these, but I found these really cool pigment powders last time I was at the craft store, and I am going to be doing, surprise surprise, something about water. I got this really awesome picture of me at the beach getting in the water to surf, like right after the hurricane, and the water was really beautiful and the surf was really fun. So that's the picture I'm going to use. But if I could use these pigment powders and find a way to work that in, I think that would be kind of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And yeah, just work right along with me. I'm going to jump into it and start sketching my picture out. So I got an HB pencil. Actually, I'm going to use this one. It's kind of like a standard. Let me grab my sharpener. sorry about that. I got a, oh, hello, and equally important is my craft cocktail of the week. I always kind of like to talk about that because that part's fun for me too. I made a tequila and grapefruit soda this week. So I've got tequila, fresh squeezed grapefruit, grapefruit slices, lime slices, and soda water. Really simple. I mean, half the time it's just like, all right, what do I have in the house? And I always have fresh fruit on hand. So I like to throw that. I always got limes. This week I had grapefruit. Last week I had those raspberries. So I try to incorporate that into my recipes. Easier for me than making a whole separate trip to the store. So tequila and grapefruit soda. That's what I'm drinking. And as always, let me know what you're drinking. Let me know what you're working on. That's half the fun for me. I love making this time to work on stuff, but I also love knowing what you guys are doing. All right, so enough chit chat. Let me get started. I'm just gonna get right into it. So I do have my ruler right now. And again, whatever you're working on is gonna be different. But I'm working on this picture and it's got like a shoreline here. This up here is the sky. This is going to be like a long stretch of beach. And halfway. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I was thinking like, do I want to make that higher? But I don't think so. I'm just going to stick with the picture. This part's going to be sand. This is like where some of the water's coming in. We've got the pier coming off. Stops about a third of the way. If I had more time, or if I thought this through just a touch more, I would have done a few more measurements to get my sketch going. But this will just be kind of one of those winging it for practice things. And that's okay too. So I'm just kind of sketching the pier in the distance. Uh-oh, we got some report. Okay, sorry, just taking care of some message things. All right, we've got some people in the chat. Hello. Love seeing you guys there. I love reading your comments. Like I said, just let me know what you're working on, what you're drinking, or if you're just watching, that's cool too. Okay. So like I said, I'm just kind of really quickly trying to get a sketch out. Proportions. I might have to go back and make some adjustments. I'm gonna just try to keep this as loose as possible. the idea of it there. That was me. It's gonna be kind of just shapes. So like I said, I'm kind of trying to figure the watercolor out. I mean, I want to say this is like the first handful of times I'm doing it, so it'll be a learning process. I had so much fun this day. I didn't think to get a shot of that picture going because it's on my computer. That was my mistake, but I'll definitely show you guys a picture of it at the end. It was just right after Hurricane Ian came through, and the waves were, you can't really tell in this picture, but the waves were so crazy high in South Florida. And all the surfers were out, and it was just like calm after the storm thing. Beautiful day, like gorgeous. You know, after the whole stress of the actual hurricane situation. But one nice thing that came out of it were these really great waves afterwards. So surfed, I got some fun pictures, I got to chat with other surfers, which is always nice. It was a really fun day. So I think if you guys came last week, you saw my fashion figure drawing, and I think I'm accidentally kind of getting those proportions in there, which fashion figure I am not, so I think it looks a little bit more elongated than I wanted to, but that's okay. How I draw my figures now, and then there was kind of this splash going on here. Oh, and it was so crazy too. The water, the tide went so far where it was like flooding the, what am I trying to think? The lifeguard stands. It was coming all the way up. It was pretty crazy. Really fun day. All right, so we got the waves, we got the pier, we got the figure, we got the board. There's some kind of like glare from the sun coming out. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that, but I'll just put it there to remember. And it was a really clear day, so there's actually not much cloud stuff going on, but I might just put some in for interest. We'll see. I'll come back to that. And a lot of this was like white foam. But yeah, like I said, you guys can work on any picture you've got in your phone. Anything for reference. So I know sometimes if I see something really cool when I'm out and about, I take a picture and I save it to a folder, and I title it like inspiration. So definitely if I see something I love in the moment, I don't want to forget about it, title it inspiration, and I come back to it. I have a whole folder of really cool images of stuff I see when I'm out and about. And then I find it really helpful because sometimes you want to come back and, you know, you don't know what to work on, you don't know what to draw. It's like being in the moment, you know. What do I watch kind of a thing. If you've already got a little collection of, you know, images saved for later for a rainy day, you can come back to that and, you know, not have to think about it. Just focus on making something cool. Actually, I'm going to count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. sure how much detail I have to put in ahead of time, how much is going to get washed out by the watercolor. Guess that'll be like a see what happens kind of a thing. Okay, we'll just kind of go through that to get the idea of it. So Halloween has come and gone, and I'm curious if any of you guys ended up doing anything fun or dressing up as anything cool. I saw some really awesome costumes online after the fact, and then I always think, oh, that was a neat idea. I guess it's like that inspiration folder. I should probably write down ideas as they come instead of trying to think of them later when I need it. Then that's always when it's hard to think of something. I was definitely struggling this year, but I ended up doing some fun Halloween makeup stuff like I was saying last week I was gonna try out, and it came out pretty cool. I mean, I think some people out there are like amazing with what they can make. Really absolutely amazing. Okay. That's the water line. So that kind of inspired me, just seeing all these like cool makeup artists online doing these really incredible costume ideas. It's like a whole artistry in itself. Sorry, I'm just well, I guess I shouldn't apologize, but taking a bit longer with the sketch than I wanted to. But I feel like anything that has kind of this like depth perception, you want to get kind of accurate so it doesn't look all wonky later. There we go. Happy with that for now. Something like that. Okay. And believe it or not, I think that's going to be the only sketching I put in. I think I'm going to try to put the rest of the details in with paint, and it will either look cool or it will look a bit odd. We will see. Alright, so that's, let's see if you can see that. That's the sketch. Oh, it's a sketch I got. Really simple. Not much to it. But I'm going to see if the detail looks interesting with the watercolor. Alright, so I'm just going to get started on that part. I'm going to use a white. Ultramarine blue. And maybe a little bit of Viridian. I would have liked to have more range of blues, but you know, I just trying something new, so I got the basic basic set, so we'll see. Might not be perfect, that's okay. So I think I'm just gonna start by getting the sky. Put in. I think it's gotta be pretty watery. This is where you're gonna be able to tell I've got my acrylic background. Let's just go for it though. I'm not quite sure if this is something you can go back over and rework. We will find out. One of the reasons I wanted to try this was for its fluidity. I like the idea of everything being very like fluid and imperfect, and it's definitely something I'm gonna get a bigger brush. Hang on one second. It's gotta be a watercolor brush. Maybe it's the way it soaks in, but let's try this. Yeah, I was saying I like the fluidity in it. You know, it's supposed to be really watery. And again, am I doing it right? That remains to be seen. It, see where it goes. And I did, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but I did get a watercolor paper. It was pretty cheap. I just got one of the cheapy packs, so I can just try something out. Sometimes I don't like to overspend. When I'm just trying something out, I want to make sure it's something I like first before I go all out with the supplies. Now I'm kind of just going over it to get the brush stroke look that I like. So it's not kind of just looking streaky. I might want to go a bit lighter here since it's getting towards the horizon line. You know what I'm going to grab too? If you are working with watercolors, I suggest grabbing some paper towels. That might be helpful with achieving the texture, the lightness. The shade you want. I bet there are a lot of, oh, look at that, tutorials online about watercolors. Probably would have been a good idea if I checked one out first. But as I've said, it's just been kind of like a week that didn't really allow for too much prep. And that's okay because I'm still making time to do it. I mean, that's what this live session is all about, just making time to work on art. So arts and crafts and whatever makes you happy, taking that time for yourself. I wonder if you can go back and change the texture, the opacity by putting more water on it. It looks like you can, so that's pretty cool. And hopefully this paper holds up to all that water. I'm assuming it does since it's watercolor paper, but even if I go back over it, and what I'm trying to do, what I see in the picture is get a blend, what's that called, like a ombre? Like trying to go lighter to darker. It's probably another word, but when you're trying to paint and chat and do all these things at once, it tends to escape me. So I'm gonna just go back and make it a bit darker at the top. Now I kind of have to figure out how to get the transition that and if watercolor happens to be your thing and you have some awesome tip, I would love to hear it. It would, any tips. I try to give tips, you know, on things that I'm more familiar with. And if that helps you guys, that's awesome. But if you guys likewise have any tips about something I'm working on for the first time, I would love to hear it. You can direct message me or comment on one of my videos and let me know, and then, you know, kind of we can have that exchange of information. How am I feeling about it? It's a little bit streaky. I wonder if there's a way I can kind of go back with a different brush and change that. There, something's there. Something's there. Let's try the sponge. Ooh, yes. All right, there we go. It's actually lifting some of the color off, which is fine. I wanted it to be a bit lighter as we went down. Maybe I'll go in a circle. No, I don't know if I like the circle too much. This is definitely going to be experimental. I don't see this being the finished look. I actually had an idea to do this image. Oh. See, now I'm thinking maybe it doesn't hold the water that good. I mean, to an extent, but maybe not this much. Oh, so finishing my thought. I thought it would be cool to like take a picture you really love and work it in different mediums and see what comes out the best or your favorite. And I think that is something I'm gonna do with this picture. Here, actually. I think I like that better. Because I just thought it was cool, and I kind of want to see what it looks like in different mediums. So I'm doing it in watercolor. Maybe I'll try it in marker. Bang one out in acrylic, and then kind of do a comparison. I think that would be pretty neat. All right, so now I'm gonna go for. Which always kind of makes me nervous, the water. Not nervous, but I definitely feel like that's the meat and potatoes, and I like to get something down that looks right. So let's just go into it. I think I see a little bit more green. ocean, so I'm going to add more blue. Let's see what happens. Use my same well. See, actually a lot more green. Kind of like this lovely teal color in the picture, so without having too many color options, let's see if I can get something that looks close. That might be a little bit too green. That actually looks about right. Maybe just a touch more white. Ooh. There we go. All right, happy with the way that looks. I have a feeling I should start a little bit more watery. This is kind of always one of the reasons I never dove right into this medium. Is because I'm not quite really sure how to tackle the liquidity of it. Is that a word? But I always love the way it looks when people who do know how to work it come up with these beautiful, like, fluid finished products that just look so stunning. Whether they're working on like landscapes or portraits or just, you know, anything. Just I think there's just this really immense beauty with watercolor that I would love to work on and see if I can in some way capture. So I'm happy that I was able to get the different colors working with like a really limited palette between the sky and the water. So I'm going to take that win and use that kit to keep going. You almost hope that these textures that are getting created from the water are what's going to create the interesting look of the piece, but I'm definitely seeing as I go that, like with other art forms, it can look intentional, or it can maybe just look a bit messy, but I'm gonna trust in this process right now and see it through and see if I can get something that looks decent at the end. Now there's a lot of white in here, so I'm gonna go really watery. And use the white, and then maybe build on top of that with one of my pens or something. So I gotta have a base down. if anyone's ever used, and I'm sure of course everyone's done everything, but I wonder if anyone's done acrylic over watercolor, or if that's like blasphemous, you know? Because that would be something I would consider trying for the foam, the white foam of the oceans. Adding some acrylic on top. I'm gonna see what I can do first with the watercolor, and then if I feel like it's not building enough, I might go back and do that later. Okay, so I'm going to use more white and try to go back in and do the foam. And this goes back to something I've been, you know what, I just realized I probably should have erased that a bit more, but we'll do it now. I think the ones up top are fine because still gotta fill the pier in, but this is gonna be white, so less is more down here. Anyway, this just goes back to what I've been talking about in my other live streams, in that one of the things I really wanted to work on through my art is letting go of that need for perfectionism. I don't know if you guys feel that too, but I can tend to have that personality a bit, wanting things to be just so, needing to feel like I have a sense of control over a lot of things that maybe I just don't necessarily have that control over, wanting the outcome to be a certain way instead of just kind of like going with it. So I feel like, in a weird way, when I can feel that way about life in general, I feel like working on it through my art really helps me work on it through other things in life too. Where if I can learn to just be a bit more fluid and relaxed and let go in my art, not need everything to be perfect, I feel like that transitions over to a lot of different aspects of life as well. So just some food for thought. And again, maybe it doesn't come out perfect. It's just definitely not at this moment, but it will teach me something. It will give me an outcome, or give me a tip, or give me a lesson that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I try to embrace that part of it. I think I will go back with acrylic. Watercolor people, let me know how you get that strong like white in. Is it buildable? Is it something I should have left there in the beginning? I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna look into that a bit more. I'm intrigued on how you guys would do that. So now I'm gonna start putting the pier in. I'm gonna use burnt umber. I think I'm just gonna use it as is. Actually looks like it's pretty close to the color. For this I might use a thinner brush. Just realizing now. Are there things you guys have done recently that you have tried that have been completely new for you and has actually turned into something you really enjoy. I feel like there's going to be a lot of that post-pandemic. People trying things that they wouldn't have normally tried and finding a lot of enjoyment in it. Ooh, I want to get brown in that sky. So I'm just going in and kind of really loosely filling in that detail. Actually, I'm gonna do something here that's a little bit lighter. I think watercolor is probably one of those mediums that is really good for getting the impression of things without actually have to put every little detail in. Not my forte because I am really detail oriented, but that is time consuming. So if there is a way to get the idea of something without putting every little detail in, it's worth trying out. That's why I really like this time. I don't feel, for whatever reason, maybe I should feel, but I don't feel that pressure of like having to make it just so. This is kind of like our trying things time. We're crafting together, we're learning things together, you're teaching me, maybe I'm showing you something. It's not for a grade, it's not for work, it's not an assignment. It's just time we're taking for ourselves together. It was too dark. Plus I really like this quiet time in the middle of the week. The week was definitely busy with Halloween, small kids, we went trick-or-treating, we did costumes, we got a lot of candy. I'm trying to convince my kids not to eat all the candy. It's full time. Definitely use an evening of just chilling out, working on a peaceful ocean picture, beach picture. Sometimes I put some of my surfing stuff up online. Just, like my art brings me joy. And it's so cool, this community out there, just like the art community, where there's all these people, professional, not professional, it's a whole big mix, who are into the same things you're into, and they find you, and then you find them in turn, and you're just checking each other's stuff out and seeing what the other person's doing in this thing you love. And I just think that is so cool. It is so inspiring for me. Through putting that stuff up, I found some surfers online. Half of them are kids. It's really incredible how amazing these kids are and so young. And they're surfing right, pretty close to me in South Florida, Central Florida, North Florida. And now I know about them through putting stuff up online, and think that community is the neatest thing. Alright, so even though I didn't put tons of thought into it, I feel like I actually am getting this perspective, you know, just generally down where it looks like a pier going into the distance, so I'm pleased with that. This is one of my favorite beaches. I mean, I'm biased, I guess, because it's the beach by me, but not great surf all the time, because again, I'm in South Florida. It's a little bit better more up north, but it's my beach and it's beautiful and it's tropical, and then the days that we do get good waves, it's just heaven, a little slice of heaven. So I'm noticing I'm getting a touch messy with the dark colors, but I feel like that's okay because I just know I'm going to go back over these spots and add texture, add detail. So I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm definitely gonna try and learn more about this as I go. I had mentioned on a previous session that my grandmother's an artist, and she really works in watercolors. That's her forte. So maybe that'll be one of the things we start talking about. I mean, we're always talking about art, but we get some watercolor tips from her. Another thing bringing us together. She is really an amazing painter. She does such beautiful things with watercolor. It's part of what made me want to give this a try. She inspires me, and she makes it a point to always be working on something. Okay, I think I'm gonna kind of like finish it off there. It's got these poles. Let's see. And see how going back and putting in the detail is going to make this look a lot better. I was in Ocean City, New Jersey this summer. And that's another really, really beautiful beach. Colder, but in the summer, refreshingly so. And that's another spot I've been wanting to paint. I have some really awesome pictures from there. And then perfect waves all summer long. Just these perfect, tiny little clean, amazing waves to just work on surfing every day. I loved it over there. And they had the boardwalk for the kids with all the fun rides and games and shops. Really cool place. And it's such a surf town there. Everyone's out surfing, surf shops. Professional surfers are going even in the winter with their, full suits. It's just such a cool vibe. This pier's kind of funny. As I'm painting it, I'm thinking about it, because there's always people fishing off the pier. I was gonna say fishermen, but of course there are ladies that fish as well. And it's always kind of like a little bit of this, not battle, but this back and forth between people throwing lines off the pier and people surfing right in that spot, because that's also like where the surfers are supposed to go. I guess so they don't, surf into people. So there's a surf spot and it's the fish spot. And I've definitely gotten caught on lines before and had fists shaken at me. Kind of funny, makes me laugh after the fact. Okay, I think that actually came out pretty good. It's starting to come together. I mean, it's an hour in, so I want to kind of move forward with it a bit, but I'm liking how that progressed. And there's some highlights I'm going to put back in later, but I'm going to move on to another part now. I'm going to get myself painted in. Let's see. So I'm going to put more of my ultramarine. I'm going to get my black for the wetsuit, my hair, even though my hair is brown, but it looks black in the picture because it's wet. And then I got my white to try to get the right color of the board. See, you got these different blues. You've got the sky, the water, and then the board's going to be a different color. So again, making all these different colors with one tube of blue. It's a fun challenge. Actually, I think I'm just gonna go right there. Actually, I like the brightness of that. Yeah. Oh, and I just realized I'm using the detail brush. Let's see if I can get that bigger brush in there. I think I'm gonna make this one a little bit more opaque. It's not like the same texture as the water or the sky. It's a pretty solid object. So maybe that could be a way I differentiate, making this a bit more opaque. funny because I feel like I'm trying not, as much as I try not to, I'm almost using it like acrylic, especially now with the board. Or I'm trying to just kind of like paint it in versus like letting it flow with the water. It's really a challenging idea for me. I guess because I don't know how to make that look like it's supposed to look yet. But first step is trying. First step is practice. Now I'm gonna get the black. That wetsuit. Watercolor. I mean, not watercolor. Colored pencil might be an idea to go over this after the fact instead of acrylic. Maybe a combo. This might end up being a mixed media piece. We shall see. No. Gotta remember to switch brushes for the detail. In the picture that the hair kind of okay, let's see, what's the part I'm going to go on to next? There's a little emblem on the board. I'd have to wait till it's drier, so I'll come back to that. So I just realized I kind of made her turn a bit more, whereas she is, where I am, standing straight, looking out. Okay, that's okay, just worked out that way. I'm gonna do the leash on the board. Have that leash when you go out. Okay, happy with the way that looks. So I'm gonna go move on and try and, oh yes, get the sand. I was gonna start fixing the water in the sky, but let me get the sand going. Before I do that, I'm gonna clean out my water. Take a break for that. Go ahead and put my sand in. So I'm gonna use the burnt umber again, just like I did for the pier. I'm gonna mix it with some white and some of this yellow ochre to get that sandy color. It's definitely going to be more ochre based or 50-50. I just eyeball this. I mean, I say I eyeball this, but the truth is I took a lot of classes in college about color theory and how to mix, and it just, you know, so. And is more opaque, be tech. Okay. So I'm gonna keep working here. Now that I got the basic color blocking of everything in, I'm gonna go in and add a bit more details. So I'm gonna change out my water. Go back in and work in some of the darker colors of the ocean. So there's a point where the water gets really this deep blue, beautiful deep blue color in the back when it gets deep. And so you can see that in the picture. So I'm going to try to replicate it here. And it's sort of coming in at an angle, kind of like following the pier line. Sort of like almost disappearing. And again, a lot of art, I mean in this case it's technique, and the technique of the medium I'm not as familiar with, but the actual subject matter, it's just drawing what you see, like what you really see, not what you think you see. Sometimes we think we're looking at something, but then when we look away from whatever reference we're using and we put our pen or pencil or paintbrush to paper, we start putting what we think we see, what we imagine it's supposed to look like versus what we're actually looking at. And just making sure we look up and keep our reference point there and try to put down what we actually see versus what we think we're looking at makes a huge difference in how the artwork comes out. Something, of course, I am still working on. Dark blue line.